for the 2024 cabinet calendar. A synopsis of the business transacted during the year reveals that as government we have made notable headway in our people-centered national development agenda.
Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa taking stock of 2024 government achievements.
In a nutshell, the 2024 cabinet calendar was a success.
The year began on a challenging note as the country and the region battled a cholera outbreak, which began in February 2023 and claimed 718 lives from over 35,000 recorded cases.
All water sources, that is boreholes and wells, are contaminated. We've done sampling in this past week, and we have found that most of the wells now, instead of what we're picking contaminated with one type of bacteria, but now we have now seen 4 different types of bacteria in the water.
In just 1 week, the health authorities in Zambia reported a 71.2% jump in new cases in the capital. And we really applaud the Zambian authorities for being proactive, and already they've designated the 60,000-seat National Hero Stadium as a treatment center to ease pressure on the health facilities.
Another notable headline at the start of the year was the release of opposition politician Job Sikhala, who had been incarcerated at the Chikurubi prison for 595 days. Sikhala was arrested and detained on June 14, 2022 on charges of inciting public violence.
I feel very disappointed by the infrastructure several governments in Africa have put for the oppression of their citizens. I was not supposed to be in prison from the first place. What has happened is that it was a political ploy that was planned by my oppressors, that I was supposed to be eliminated from the political situation towards the 2023 general elections in Zimbabwe.
Still on the political front, Zimbabwe's ruling party, ZANU-PF, pronounced its support for the Palestinian people and denounced the Israelis' actions. It came out in full support of South Africa's action to take Israel to the International Court of Justice.
Hailing them for the bold decision of global conscience by the ANC to take the genocidal practices of Israel to the International Court of Justice. Wasn't it a source of pride yesterday to see South African jurists presenting their case in solidarity with the Palestinians at the International Court of Justice?
Global Magnitsky is intended to target...
In March, the United States of America imposed sanctions on individuals in Zimbabwe. Certain companies and individuals were removed from the sanctions list, but President Emmerson Mnangagwa and a few senior leaders were slapped with new sanctions for corruption and human rights abuses.
Continue to have concerns regarding serious cases of human rights abuses and corruption in Zimbabwe. On March 4th, President Biden signed an executive order terminating the Zimbabwe Sanctions Program, which has been in effect since 2003. That same day, the U.S. Department of the Treasury, Office of Foreign Assets Control, or OFAC, designated 11 individuals and 3 entities for their engagement in corruption and human rights abuses under the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act.
Impact of El Nino weather pattern took hold, and it became evident that Zimbabwe and the region would face a devastating drought. The Zimbabwean president declared a state of disaster and appealed for $2 billion to avert hunger.
The situation of the climate change-induced drought requires measures and interventions as provided for in our laws. To that end, I do hereby declare a national state of disaster due to the El Nino-induced drought. Accordingly, I now invoke Section 27, subsection 1 of the Civil Protection Act, Chapter 10,06.
On the economic front, Zimbabwe introduced a new currency, the Zimbabwean gold, which replaced the country's bond note currency, which had suffered a drastic loss of value due to inflation. Over the last 25 years, Zimbabwe has tried and failed at numerous attempts to stabilize its currency.
We are doing what we are doing to ensure that our local currency does not die. As I said, we were already in a situation where almost 85% of transactions are being conducted in US dollars because our local currency was not living up to the function of store of value.
You see, the West have just begun consolidating their power in Zambia, our next neighbor. You know, there was
The first half of the year ended on a bad note for President Mnangagwa's diplomatic efforts.
Yes, you are very
Tensions arose when Mnangagwa claimed that Zambia's security sector was heavily funded by the United States. Mnangagwa made the remarks in Russia, and it resulted in a fallout that is still unfolding today. Sophie Mkwe, SABC News.